It's the summer of 2016. Pokemon Go is just released, and Minecraft PvP is at its peak. For most players, it was just something to kill time before school started again. But for a small group of players, it was the beginning of something much more serious. Something that outlived the game. This is the story of Minecraft's darkest game mode.
Going on Minecraft.
Caffeine-fueled nights, non-stop toxicity,
Dude, why would you hit him off?
and clicking like your life depended on it. That was HCF.
Yeah, let me in.
Sir, why'd you just hit him off?
HCF, short for Hardcore Factions, wasn't your average PvP mode. Deaths carried real consequences. When you died, you were locked out of the server for a cooldown period, forced to watch everyone continue on without you. Teams typically consisted of 5 to 10 players, everyone sharing a common goal: to become the top clan. Each map lasted roughly 7 days before being completely wiped and reset. That limited window created urgency, and that urgency incentivized risk. Resources throughout the map were scarce. If players could die without consequences, there would be no reason to fight at all. And that's where HCF introduced DTR, Deaths Till Raidable. Each death pushed your faction closer to being raided, turning your base into an open chest.
I'm in. Okay, I got him. Okay. Wait, still open. We can do it. Bambi's in! Okay, 8 seconds. 8 seconds. Oh, Chris is in, isn't he in?
Every fight mattered. One mistake could wipe out an entire team. The constant fear of being the reason your faction collapsed was real. HCF culture was notoriously toxic. Factions obsessed over winning to the point where it felt cult-like. Loyalty was not optional. Step out of line and the consequences didn't always stay in game. Threats of doxing, harassment, and real-world intimidation were a staple of HCF culture. Now, guarding your personal information wasn't just smart, it was necessary. Thankfully, our sponsor— I'm just playing. Just like the video and subscribe. In this environment, paranoia was the norm. Players faced the fear of a teammate secretly being a spy for an enemy faction, being doxxed, or swatted in an act of revenge, or simply a scare tactic. The motivations for players to sabotage factions were typically for the exchange of real-world money, revenge, and promotions. High-ranking players often outsourced this work, since being exposed as a mole not only destroyed their reputation, but in some cases led to harassment, DDoS attacks, doxing, or worse. Deceptive practices were not only allowed in HCF, but they were rewarded. The regular use of manipulation and leveraging of social engineering only desensitized young players to actions that outside of this community would be considered unacceptable. The community didn't care how you won, only that you won. The tactics deployed to compete with the top clans proved to outlast the game itself. The frequent use and refinement of these morally gray tactics weren't framed as unethical, but as essential, like social engineering. In HCF, this meant pretending to be harmless to gain trust and extract key information. HCF would also be the first introduction to the threat of being doxxed in routine OPSEC practices. OPSEC is the practice of recognizing the risk of sensitive information being leaked, and assessing any vulnerabilities that might jeopardize the anonymity of you or your operation, like using the same Discord username as on Instagram, which publicly shows your full name. And players would naturally learn to operate within hierarchies, and understand how one person's mistake can compromise an entire group, which are both key to any successful plan, especially on a larger scale. The most notable characteristic of this community is that these skills weren't explicitly taught. These were strategies that developed the more involved with the community players became. These skills were never labeled as wrong, they were framed as a tool. While inside of Minecraft, these tactics were mostly harmless, outside of it, not so much. There's been multiple instances of players within the Minecraft community being involved with cybercrimes. One of these players stood out from the rest. Open, better known as Graham Ivan Clark.
I'm the same open.
Oh, rip.
Where's the proof I hit him off? There's no proof. I didn't touch
It just ruined up me. Here you go. Handcuff me, police officer.
He he is a perfect example of how dangerous this social environment could be, especially for younger players. In 2016, at 13 years old, Graham started his YouTube channel, OpenHCF. The content was simple: Minecraft gameplay and HCF montages. Despite the lackluster content, he quickly gained a reputation as a likable and known content creator in the HCF community, a status he would later exploit. Minecraft has always had a black market to buy and sell rare accounts. Usernames like @Drain or @Open could be sold for thousands of dollars. Rare usernames exist on basically every platform. However, unique to Minecraft were the capes, more specifically capes from Minecon events. These capes were obtained via one-time codes. They were non-transferable and extremely scarce. Graham learned how to leverage this pretty quickly to use it to his advantage. By the end of 2016, Graham had begun his first documented scams. Over 2016 and 2017, his victims began speaking out. Videos surfaced explaining how he had taken money without delivering the promised items. Many were shocked. To his subscribers, he was just an energetic teen, obsessed with Minecraft PvP. But behind the camera, Graham was learning to manipulate trust, laying the foundation for something much bigger. From 2017 to 2020, Graham gradually distanced himself from the HCF scene. He gravitated to online hacking forums, where he continued sharpening his tactics: social engineering, scams, and manipulation to rip off unsuspecting users. Like most people, everyone assumed he would grow out of it eventually, but that was far from the truth. Every success only fueled the fire, which was his ego. Small scams didn't satisfy his hunger anymore. He needed something bigger. Four years of small-time cybercrime were nothing compared to what came next. On the 14th of July, Graham managed to social engineer a Twitter employee into entering their credentials on a phishing page, giving Graham the power to take over any Twitter account. The potential was massive, millions of dollars in profits, but one small slip-up could blow the entire plan up. He had two choices: move slowly for small but safe gains, or run it up and risk it all. He was minutes away from possibly living every 17-year-old's dream: fast cars, designer clothes, iced out watches, and most importantly, social status.
With shooter here, decoy. I send the packs and then I deploy.
Graham took the safe approach, offering a service taking over rare handles in exchange for crypto. After just a few hours of doing this, Graham realized how slow this process would be. Throughout the last few hours, an internal battle was brewing within him. The idea of living his dream life was too enticing, and the risk suddenly didn't seem to matter anymore. Eventually, the greed won. Graham took control of 130 high-profile accounts. That of President Joe Biden, former President Donald Trump, Uber, and Apple. Messages began to be posted on the accounts, promoting a Bitcoin doubling scam. It was perfect. It was simple, to the point, and basically impossible to ignore. Roughly 117,000 USD was sent to this address, worth well over $1 million today. 117,000 was nowhere near the amount Graham had imagined. Even though that's nearly 2 times the average American's yearly salary, the risk of losing his freedom was nowhere near worth this amount. Just weeks later, on July 31st, Graham was arrested at his home, with a pretty hefty bail, at $725,000, nearly 6 times the amount he was accused of stealing. The reality set in pretty quickly for Graham, that he was going to be used as an example for any aspiring cybercriminals hoping to commit similar crimes. He was faced with 30 criminal charges, including 17 counts of communication fraud, 11 counts of fraudulent use of personal information, 1 count of organized fraud for more than $5,000, and 1 count of unauthorized computer access. 2 others would also be arrested for their involvement in the attack. Graham's case doesn't only stand out because of the scale of the crime. It stands out because of how early it began. He didn't wake up on July 14th thinking, how can I commit one of the largest cyber attacks in recent years? He was conditioned and basically taught the very behaviors that would define his crimes. All in one place, the HCF community. Winning by any means was an expectation to him. The skills like social engineering, understanding hierarchy, and the importance of loyalty followed Graham into the real world. With the difference being that outside of Minecraft, the stakes were very real. To him, now the factions were corporations. The base was Twitter. And the consequences wouldn't be virtual anymore. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. These videos take me a bit to make since I'm doing everything myself, but I really like putting them out for y'all. And if you aren't subscribed already, you totally should do that so you can get more high effort content like this and I can feed my family. You should also hit the like button while you're down there. And I wanted to thank y'all for 3,000 subscribers. The last video absolutely blew up. I was not prepared for that, but thank you so much to anyone who ever likes or comments and shares on my content. It helps a lot. So, all right, bye.